Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. This is a public conversation, an online conversation about situation that's happened in New York City Transit. We're joined by Andy Valentine, a train operator who was targeted by the MTA to be the scapegoat for unsafe conditions that he was put into. I know many people already know some of what has been going on, and we're all part of an ad hoc committee to try to get justice for Andy, to fight for full back pay, to fight for him to be restored to his job, and to fight for those who are truly accountable to take responsibility for what they did and how they endangered public safety, endangered Andy's life and others. And the best way we think for that to happen is for Andy to speak in his own voice about his experiences and what's going on with the case and how you can best help. Before we do that, I just want to introduce people who are joining us. Richard Latanzi is part of All Transit Workers for a Fighting Union, and Eddie Lizarraga is also part of that organization. Evangeline Byers is joining us from the Stronger Together Caucus and Women Uplifting Women. And Anthony Steiniger is joining us from the Local 100 Fight Back Coalition. And obviously, I'm also joining from the Local 100 Fight Back Coalition. So without further ado, I'm going to let Andy have the stage, so to speak, and make his appeal to his coworkers about the situation that he's facing. And we'd like to thank Andy so much for joining us, because we know that it's difficult to talk about this stuff, and we know that it's a position you never thought you would be in yourself. And what I want transit workers to keep in the back of their mind when they're listening to Andy is that this could be any one of us, that there really is no doubt that they would do it to any one of us in a second. So Andy, the floor is yours.
Oh, yeah. Thank you guys for having me. John, Anthony, Eddie, Richard. I had the pleasure of meeting Eddie and Richard, Miss Evangeline Byers. Everyone who I've met in the last couple of weeks have been phenomenal. My name is Andy Valentine, train operator, 8 years in service, never been in trouble. As you know, on January 4th, 2024, an unfortunate situation happened, unfortunate accident happened, and the train was derailed. Collision took place, and I was the flagger on that train. And recently, fast forward, April 14th, I was officially terminated by transit. They pinned everything on me. The dispatcher, who was at OCC at the time, crossed a revenue train in front of the disabled train. Should have never done that. I had no control over that. I had no control of the TSS not stopping to my verbal commands. I had basically no control of the majority of the situation that took place on that day. And just to be scapegoated by transit, when I first came to transit and left my corporate career, I never thought that I would be in this position, let alone having to fight for my job and to utilize resources to kind of pick myself off the ground and to just for them to target me and to make me seem like this villain that they kind of manifested. It's just really disgusting on so many levels. I've gone through so much in the last 16 months. It's just hard to really put into words. The level of support, though, that I've gotten from phone calls to the people that I've met recently have been tremendous to myself and my family, and also John Luke, who's helped me. Went food shopping for me and my children. I have 3 girls. It's just been super stressful, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress, and the end result of being terminated. It's just I'm still having problems kind of processing everything, because it was never on my scope of what the outcome would be. I honestly thought I was going to have a fair and not.
Andy, your audio's dropped out. You muted yourself. I'm sorry. I'm unmuting you now. Can you click on your picture at the top? There's 3 dots. You should be able to turn your mic back on. You had You had a headphones. I don't know whether. Yeah. So they're not connected. I don't know. You're muted. Um, I'm trying. Yeah, you have to unmute. Oh, it says the mic is not connected. Sorry, everybody. Just a little bit of technical difficulties. He's gonna come out and go back and come back into the screen. Right. So while we're waiting for Andy to come back on, Rich, can you follow up on some of what Andy was saying, and and then as soon as he comes back, we'll put him back on.
Yeah, sure. I mean, Andy's going to continue to tell his story. It's very important. I guess so. After we met with Andy, I guess it would be about a month ago today. You know, after he kind of went through everything. We met with him, and we were able to actually hear the story for the first time. And you'll hear it from him. And you know, we completely agree that we think that Andy was a good worker put in a bad circumstance, and the fault of what happened was not on him, but he was made to kind of eat the charge. And so the purpose of the ad hoc committee was to work within the union and also with elements that want to get behind the demand of reinstating Andy Valentine with full back pay and a clean record. I think that would be justice. You know, I appreciate you know, the live stream. Thank you for organizing this, and I think also thank you for putting together the GoFundMe for the legal defense, Evangeline. I think those are extremely important steps, and I think Andy will have to use every single tool that he can to fight the company and get his job back and fight the arbitration decision. Part of the work of the ad hoc committee will be to publicize this case, explain to people what happened, why it was so unjust. But you know, we'll discuss kind of, I guess, other things that we can do to make sure that he gets his job back, and that his name is cleared. And also, I guess if I could make another point, it's just that his case is it was very unjust what happened. That is very true, but also it's in the interest of everyone within this union to get behind this case, to get behind Andy, to help him. Because if you understand the facts of what happened, it is really true that it could have been any one of us in that circumstance. And any one of us could have been framed for what happened. And if we were able to challenge the arbitrator's decision and get Andy his job back, it would just really undermine the company's whole two Broadway disciplinary machine, and it would also, you know, help us to defend ourselves properly against the company. And that goes not just for titles and subways like operators and conductors, but the entire union, all different titles and jobs.
Okay, Richard, we got some good news. Andy's mic seems to be working.
Okay, good.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Sorry for the technical.
Sorry about that.
Everybody.
One thing, for Reddy, make sure that the Facebook Live link is open, that you made it public, because people would hit me back telling me they can't get on.
Yeah, it is definitely public.
Public, okay.
Maybe they're using the other link that was on the advertisement, but in any case, it is public. I'll double check. But Andy, I wanted to make sure that you were able to finish your comments. So sorry you got interrupted.
No, it was technical difficulties. It happens. But yeah, I just never thought this would happen to me.
Your volume is low. I don't know, but your microphone, I guess, is next to you.
Let's see what's going on here. How about now? Can you hear me now?
It's a little better.
Better.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been 16 months of hell, so to speak. Just going through the process again. I did everything that was asked of me. I went to all my psychology appointments once a week. I did my physical therapy for my injuries that I sustained that day, to my neck and my back being thrown to the middle of the train car from the impact. I did everything that they asked of me to do. And when I attempted to come back on December 17th of 2024, I got reinstated on the 17th, and on December 18th, one day later, they PDS'd me, and they hit me with these charges that, again, I thought they was absurd. Again, they hit me with a lot of operational infractions, and I wasn't even the operator. They also just attempted to put the entire blame of the incident on me, and again, I wasn't the operator. The TSS that on site that day, I never met him prior, and I entrusted everything into his intelligence and into his know-how and skills. And he let me down, but he also let down the city of New York for that incident. And also the OCC dispatcher that day, McBurney, he still hasn't missed a paycheck. He hasn't gone through what I went through. Eviction notices, lights cut off, everything. I've been through hell because of his decision to cross a revenue train in front of a disabled train, which is absolutely insane. That train is not working as designed. So what makes you think, that even in general, that train is going to stop? It's moving at the same time. It's just a lot of things that happen that to me just, makes me scratch my head. But at the end of the day, I was PDS. I was fired. It was me. I was the scapegoat to the entire incident of that day. And it's infuriating that a lot of people are not holding the arbitrator's feet to the fire, given his bias award, not unbiased, his bias award towards me, including not even allowing a piece, not even a percent of information from the NTSB, and just completely pushing it to the side when presented in my defense. That can completely exonerate me in the entire day. Communication was the number one thing of that day, and even they didn't allow me to utilize a witness, TSS Thompson, that day. He was also going to speak on the fact that the NTSB instructed the MTA that there was a dead zone over there on 96th Street back in 2019, but they didn't allow him to speak on my behalf. So again, they had all these things that could have put a spotlight on the situation that was not remedied by transit, but transit attempts to make a new rule, a new procedure, February post incident, about what to do, a play-by-play of what to do, and then charge me for those new policies and the new bulletin they created, and then say they didn't charge me for those, even though it states literally word by word that those were the charges against me. Failure to crank the handbrakes or cutting the BCO. I was never taught that, and a lot of train operators can attest to that. I was a class of 2017. We was never taught to crank the handbrakes or cut the BCO. We were taught to pull the EBV. That was the limit of the training that I received at 207 Yard when I was school car in 2017. So again, you fast forward that 7 years, and then you bring this whole thing and all these moving parts together, and you have a train that's running out of pretty much unmanned, because you have the TSS who in his G2 states that I said keep it coming, all clear, and everyone in the vicinity heard me saying stop the train. Everyone heard me but him. So it's just mind-boggling to me. And again, you have a train on 96th Street on 4 track. Everyone knows how these tracks are designed. It's on a downgrade, so time is limited. Everything is happening in seconds, and everyone wants to make comments. They would have did X, Y, and Z. Like I said, no one's never been put in that position. It's nice to say what you would have done, but after the fact, but not during the fact. There's a lot of things, and there's not enough time to do, including that box that has the BCO to cut back in. It was locked, and I was never given play-by-play by TSS Melendez. I say, listen, if we lose communication, this is what you do. Again, that was on his testimony to the NTSB. They asked him directly, did you speak to Valentine of what to do if you lose communication? He said, no, that conversation did not take place. Again, and he also states that I was in charge of the entire move, I being him. Again, all these things were on the testimony from the NTSB, but it was not allowed to use in my defense because the transit attorney or defense attorney stated that since the NTSB investigation was still ongoing, that information could be amended. How could you amend the testimony? How could you amend the radio checks that the NTSB did with transit? How do you amend these things? They were already done with transit and with transit present, with superintendents present. You cannot amend that. So again, I got after I got my award, I reached out to one of the individuals from the NTSB and I asked them, I said, listen, can that information that's made readily available for the public, can that be used in my defense? And they said, yes, that information is finalized. And again, the arbitrator, he overstepped his boundaries. He exceeded his powers when he did not allow me or my defense or to use that information in my defense. He completely allowed the authorities attorney to dictate the entire arbitration hearing. Again, that was the foundation of my defense. So the fact that I was not able to use the NTSB, a federal agency that all they do is investigate major crashes and accidents, and that you say that Transit's final report supersedes the NTSB, are you kidding me? So because the Transit finalized their investigation, that they get to just pretty much pull the plug on everything. That to me, that's not even fair. That's unethical. And then you have all these moving parts. Again, the NTSB has not finalized completely all of their findings. But again, the Transit wanted to get this done as soon as possible and make me the scapegoat so they can clear themselves of all wrongdoings or any accountability, knowing that I don't have any authority to move a train in front of my train. I don't have any authority to stop Melendez from not adhering to my commands. Again, there's a lot of things happening, but again, I'm to blame, and because I'm the hourly in the front. And again, I tell people time and time again, this is bigger than me. I keep telling people, stop thinking this is about Andy Valentine. Again, I've never been in trouble. I've never hit a signal. I've never overran a station. I got one lateness in 8 years. And if they can do this to me, they can do this to you. That's all they're doing. They're trying to make sure that you get hung for their issues, whatever it is, whether it's a flashing signal, whatever. They want to put time, you make sure you do time in the street and everything for stuff that's out of your control. It's not fair. And if it continues and nothing gets done with my situation, or doesn't get appealed or overturned, then it's going to continue, and everyone else is going to be steamrolled. There's so many employees being PDS'd, it's getting out of control. And if there's not a spotlight put on it, if there's not more attention or more awareness on my situation, a lot of people still don't even know that I've been fired. So it's really crazy that there's not been an uproar. Like, people are not upset. How do you not be upset? I've never been a bad employee. I've never been a gossiper. I have nothing. I go to work and I come home to my children. Like, there's nothing in between. So the fact that I was hung out to dry, there was not really a lot happening. Again, I'm new to this. I've never been in trouble. I've never been to 2 Broadway prior. So all this is all new to me. And I'm over here like, all right, what's happening? Are you getting your pass taken away? You're getting PDS. Why? I did everything you asked me to do. Why are you doing this to me? Like, again, people say because I did the interview. Listen, at the end of the day, Transit was going to use me as an excuse to exonerate them from any accountability. Whether I spoke to Joe Biden or I spoke to anybody, it didn't matter. They were going to use me as the reason for the incident. And it's insanity thinking about this. But again, this is my reality. I'm in this position now because, again, people say that I got myself fired. Well, no, Transit fired me. They put me here. I didn't ask to be in this position. I did not. I did everything they trained me to do. And again, it's a failure on their part because they know now going forward, they have refreshers and everything for other than front end operation that didn't exist prior to the incident. So again, if they were trying to cover their bases, they would already had refreshers in place. And this situation would have never happened because I would have been equipped already, because I would have been refreshed on this. Again, you got a 7-year gap between me training 10 minutes in 207 yard and then me having 7 years later being on that train on January 4th. Come on. I was taught to pull the EBV. That's what I was taught to do. So that it's just mind blowing to me. And again, I'm sorry for going on a tangent, but I'm pissed off.
It's okay.
Yeah, I'm pissed off because, again, I said, listen, you guys put me here. All right, give me a fair shake. Give me an unbiased arbitrator. Let me present the facts. Let me do all these things. And I got stonewalled. I got railroaded. Everything that I was heard in the crew room and everything. Oh, be careful. This I never thought this would be me. That's the crazy part. And now I'm in a position where like I can't say I'm fighting for what's bigger than this. If this doesn't get overturned, the precedent set going forward is going to people don't understand how big this is.
Yeah,
like it's going to be a ripple effect, because if transit can pin this on me, and I've never been in trouble, and I could just say, and it sounds crazy, you can be next. It could be anyone. I don't care if anywhere, anyone in RTO. It can be you.
Yeah.
Wrongfully accused of something, or them putting all the blame on you. And then now what? Now they stressing you out. Now you don't have an income. I don't have any insurance for my children. All of these things happening, all because of more than two things. But one, because of OCC, they should have never greenlighted the train to move at 79th Street if they were going to move another train around us. Whenever the train is moving, whenever they gave the green light, okay, train operator on the 79th Street, you guys got the okay. Nothing else should have moved. That's number one. All right. Number two, Melendez, if he didn't hear me at all, he should have stopped the damn train. That's it. That's pretty much it. This is not quantum physics. This is nothing complicated. It is literally coming down to communication. Again, OCC should have never did what they did. Should never crossed the revenue train in front of a BO train, a train that's disabled. First 5 cars, no brakes, no motor function, no air. And then you want to move a train in front of it because of what? You're trying to save 10 minutes? Yeah. So then you want to blame me for $12 million worth of damages, 22 injured passengers? That's not my fault. I didn't cross that train in front of my train. You did that. So again, worst case scenario, if there was no train crossed in front of us, Melendez would have overran the station. That would have been the worst case scenario. That would have been it. But no, you want to cross a passenger train in front of a train that has not operating as designed. It has pretty much no brakes. We found out the other car had an air leak in it, in the car and the operating cars. And you want to blame that on me. So you pretty much had 6 cars that wasn't working as designed. But it's my fault. It's my fault.
Yeah, and just to respond to some of what you're saying, like I think that I've been where you've been at. I've been PDS, and I've been facing termination over complete trumped up charges. I know many others have, not to compare the situation at all. But part of the thing that transit counts on is that they know people don't have the money to fight these cases in court of law. They know that most working class people don't have a reserve of tens of thousands of dollars to fund the kind of legal challenge and uphill battle that you have to be able to commit to. And you have to basically gamble your entire future on in order to do. And so the reason why I bring that up is that it's important right now that we share our screen and show the fundraising effort that has already been organized by your coworkers, because it's time for people to get, as you said, it's time for people to get off the bench. Like that's the gist of what you were saying, that we all have skin in this, and transit workers need to not accept the disgusting contempt that the MTA has for us, but also our union leadership has for our members in terms of the way in which they organize to defend us when we're facing these kind of situations, and also the horse trading that they engage in all the time as well. So I'm gonna share my screen and put up the page so that people can see what it looks like, and it's in the chat. Evangeline had shared it in the chat. Let me just here. Okay, you all can see that, correct? Okay.
Yes.
So this is a GoFundMe. It says support Andy Valentine in his time of need. As you can see, there's a list of those who've already donated. If you've donated, please donate again. Please continuously try to commit to a monthly donation, whatever you can spend share with your coworker. We have to get back to an injury to one of us is an injury to all of us, and we have to understand that each and every one of us is targeted by the MTA. That logo on your uniform, it's a target on our back, and it's a target for them to blame everything about why the system doesn't function on us. And we must be there for our coworkers. It has nothing to do with, would you ever work with Andy before? You know him personally. He's your brother because we're in this together and because we all face the same conditions and we all face the same setup. And we have to get out of the idea that you don't know what happened. We know what happened. We understand what happened to Andy. We understand what happened to other of our coworkers, and we need to shut that down. And we need to make sure that other workers see that we stand 10 toes down with them. And it matters that so many people have already contributed, but it will matter more how many more people will step up and be part of that fight. I'm going to stop sharing the screen, and then I'm going to let Evangeline Byers speak. Let me just get the full layout. Okay, there we go. All right, Evangeline, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Excuse me, I have a little cold. When I was notified, some people reached out to me from the A division, Andy's division, when this was going on before he went to arbitration. And I was concerned then because I knew he was going to arbitration with the union's lawyers. And as someone who's gone through the disciplinary process and also has helped others through this process to stop firings, get lawyers for discrimination and other things that have happened in arbitration hearings. I knew that the problem that Andy would have by going to arbitration with the union's lawyer is that the arbitrator knows that at that point, this is not going to be heard anywhere else, that his decision or her decision will be final and binding, and that the union, no matter how bad the decision is not going to challenge it in court. And because of that, what you get and what happens in arbitrations a lot of time is that the arbitrator is colluding with management and the union. They've already discussed it. They've already talked, because the arbitration process is one where the union pays part of the fee, and so does the MTA. And so what happens is you do not have you don't have objectivity, right? You don't have a arbitrator that is going to be fair. And a lot of times, based on who you are and what it is, transit authority tries to do whatever it is that they want. And so when the decision came down, I sort of knew and spoke to Andy about it before it happened, hoping that it didn't, but helping him to understand that these are the things, this is how the system works. And it's not only him. It doesn't matter if you're innocent or if you're guilty or whatever it is. Transit has this disciplinary machine that is at work, that is going unchecked by the union. And as long as TWU Local 100 is not doing its part, this will continue to happen. The arbitrator should have been fired. They should have said that he had to go based on his decision and the way he behaved in the arbitration, right? In the arbitration, he was acting like he had to go, like Andy was bothering him by trying to get the NTSB report in to the arbitrator for him to see that clearly on that day there was a communication failure, right? Even if Melendez would have been able, didn't hear him, the likelihood of him being able to stop the train in enough time to avoid the collision without having brakes on a downgrade, it's not going to stop on the dime. The train is BO'd. So all of the bad decision making that happened from the tower, the fact that the train went out, when it did, all leads and points to the fact that this was a big failure on the part of the MTA and not the crew, right? But on the crew side, when we talk about Melendez, as a supervisor, he should have known that something was wrong and that train should not have moved. They didn't have the proper amount of people on the train to be able to deal with it, or the people that were on there were not put in the positions they were supposed to. So there were so many things that went wrong that day. But I want us to focus on the fact that we have an arbitration system that is going unchecked, that the union itself has not made grievance and discipline a top priority, that the preservation of jobs, job security, having, fair hearings, that it doesn't matter. This arbitrator should be removed. He rejected the NTSB report, not to mention that the NTSB took over the investigation. So they are the chief investigator. It's whatever they say it is. That's what happened on the day it was. It's not system safety. It's not an internal review. It is up to NTSB to decide, what happened on this day. Because if you remember on the day of, the NTSB said, we're taking over this investigation because we clearly know that this is not employer error, right? This is not the employee's error, that there's something else went on here, and we want to see and get to the bottom of it and what it is. And not too long later, they fact found that it came out that there was communication error, that when the tower sent out that train, it was a problem. And so the fact that the union did not take this to court to say, hey, this arbitrator refused to rely on evidence that was exculpatory, is a huge problem for me. And for anyone that's watching, right? A lot of people have talked to me about this and they say things to me. And I always say, when they have their day at 2 Broadway, when they trump up charges on you, when they falsify information on you, when they take you in and just push you to termination, it doesn't matter if you're wrong or if you're right. The transit authority does not care. They move for dismissal. And also, the way they're using the PDS process is wrong.
Yes.
You can't just PDS people whenever you feel like it. And right now, not only in RTO, but mainly in RTO, we have a huge issue with members being PDS for things that do not fit the criteria of PDS. We have union reps who have not been trained and do not have the skill level or the education to go in and deal with these hearings. And when I say education, what I mean by that is that all union reps should be trained to be officers. Allowing people to just wing it on people's career is a problem. So I hope you all give to the GoFundMe. Let's continue to work together to make sure that Andy gets justice. I 100% believe no matter how hard it is to overturn an arbitrator's decision, I believe that this decision will be overturned because it's glaring that the arbitrator overstepped his bounds and his authority in this decision.
Yeah, just transit workers, just think about the fact that they have it every which way they want. They have you're guilty until proven innocent, right? But they also have an arbitration system where there is no checks and balances and they can do whatever they want. And you have a union that pays half the freight for those arbitrators. And the union could fire those arbitrators, and they don't. And they come up with 1,000 excuses why they're not firing arbitrators. And that's part of the problem. And then you also have a former union officer who was the TSS. I mean, let's not look away from that. Like, this is the moral compass of people who put themselves forward as union leaders. And it should disgust every member of this union. It's a disgrace to the name of what it means to be a union. So I just want to try to frame, like, when people say, oh, this is Andy's situation, it's not. It's set up. And it was bound to end this way based on the way they have it set up every which way they want it. And we have to uproot that system. So Eddie was going to speak next. Eddie Lizaraga, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you. Again, thanks for setting this up. This is great. Andy, I can just say that, the most recent refresher that I had wasn't until 2024. And that was the first time, late 2024, was the first time I actually had training to do the, cut in the BCOs and do all that sort of stuff. But every other refresher that I've had, and I've been down there over 17 years, never did that. Never did that. Was not part of the training. So again, just kind of underscores how they're just throwing you under the bus for rules they hadn't even invented yet.
Right.
you know, and it's utterly infuriating. And I just want to nip in the bud something real quick. Talk people on the job and all that. The thing keeps coming up. Well, why did he go to the press? Why did he go press? You know what? The TA, regardless of whether it's not in the reports or whatnot, but the reason they make a big deal, the scuttlebutt is there about that, is because it brings to light how dangerous the system and what a threat it is to the writing public. Not only us workers working down there, but to the writing public. It is literally a health hazard. And I mean, you could go on and forever about how you let me just put it this way. You did everyone a service by actually going to the press, Andy, and telling people how it is. So let's just turn the tables on that argument right there. It's dangerous down there. I wanted to address something else too, and this is just with regards to the whole question of arbitration and all that. One of the key things here is like we're getting people together from various different political viewpoints and whatnot, and we're all united behind fighting for Andy because this everybody in this union has a stake in this case. But with regards to arbitration, we feel in Transit Workers for a Fighting Union that with regards to arbitration, part of the problem there is that it actually takes the agency away from the union as a whole. Like the minute you go down to 2 Broadway, you know, and you're subject to the plantation justice down there, it's like you're ripped away from your coworkers, from any sort of interaction. It's just you. If you've ever been in arbitration, you just feel like you're just helpless there. Just you and your union rep, and it's just a bunch of rumors at work and whatnot. And that whole system is designed on purpose so that the TA can control the narrative and whatnot. Mm-hmm. You really have going on right now, like on the job, is this. I think Richard was telling me this Mandela effect thing, you know, where people believe that they were trained to do this sort of stuff. Oh, Andy should have known, should have done this, or should have done that. It's BS. It's total company propaganda. So again, I just want to underscore, I can't really follow up. I think you did a great job, Andy, in really motivating, just expressing just this real visceral thirst for justice, and, you know, and how you were just railroaded, literally. That everybody in this union has a stake. And this should be seen as an opening shot to mobilize the union in struggle, because you know what's coming up? Contract is going to be expiring. Mm-hmm. And if our union cannot defend its members.
Okay.
Yeah, you froze?
You froze. Yeah. Eddie, can you hear us?
So
okay. Yeah. Eddie, your audio froze for a minute. So if you could just restate what you just said.
Oh, I just wanted to just underscore the point that this is basically, people should see this as a springboard for rebuilding the union. Yeah. Right here. And Andy's case is absolutely, for all the reasons stated, it's like everybody in this union has a stake in this, because this is the epitome of plantation justice right here, where they can just do whatever the hell they want just because they can, you know. Yeah. And it's classic the TA acting you know, like they always do, above the law, you know, disregarding NTSB reports and whatnot. So we want to we want to popularize this case and get as many people on board and get them ready, because there's a struggle coming up, and that's going to be the contract thing. And if we cannot fight for Andy, how are we going to fight contract?
Yeah. Thank you. I'm sorry, he froze again. But in any case, I wanted to get Anthony Steiniger to speak, and then we're going to get back to Andy. And Rich, let me know if you want to speak, because I know you kind of got interrupted when Andy came back. So I just want to let me know. But Anthony will speak now, okay?
Hey, how you doing, everybody? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Wonderful. Thanks everybody for being here. It's good to see you guys here. Eddie, Rich, Evangeline, John, Andy. While I'm listening to everybody, it just came across my mind about how we're taught as train operators, and how Andy shouldn't have even gone downtown to begin with, because you talk about communications, and the new system that they have is communication-based train control. But if you think about it, all of our train operation is communication-based train control. The traditional signals are communicating to you the condition of the rails in front of you, whether there's a train in front of you, the speed for which you need to go through in that area. So that's that communication that's being relayed to the train operator, you as the train operator. I've been a train operator for 18 years. I've been involved in other than head out operations on the main line twice when I've had to move disabled trains. Both of those times, it was myself and at least two other TSSs, two other supervisors involved. And with communications-based train control, which is what all of us do, no matter whether it's a regular running on the main line, anything in the yard, any type of train operation is communication-based train control. Let me ask you, train operators here, what do you do when it's a dark signal, when the signals just blank out on you? What do you do with the train?
Stop.
Stop. That's what we're all taught. What we're all taught. What do you do? Anybody here CBTC qualified? Okay, so you have the two screens there. If the CBTC screen goes blank, what do you do to the train?
Same thing.
You stop the train. You stop the train. So in the case of other than head out operation, Andy is basically relaying the condition of the rail to the operator. He's a go-between in that communication. If that communication stops, what do you do as train operators?
You stop.
You stop the train. So if we're not supervisors, if we're taught this, and every one of you are taught this, and I'm sure every train operator that's listening to this knows the exact same thing to do. Every TSS, every supervisor knows this. Every person who's ever operated a train, whether they're a superintendent or manager now, they know this as well. Why was Andy even sent downtown? Why was Andy even mentioned? Why was he even a target for discipline? He should not have been a target for discipline. When I came in here 18 years ago, we were taught that you don't stop a train with a handbrake. That's not what it's for. A handbrake is to secure a train that is being stored in the event that power is lost and the air brakes fail. The air drains out of the compressors. The air brakes fail. You have the handbrake there holding these wheels, and you're taught to put a certain amount of handbrakes on the trains depending on the conditions. If it's on a downgrade, if it's in a yard, if it's on a level, depending on the conditions, you're taught what is sufficient handbrakes, and you're taught to test for sufficient handbrakes. You can actually move a train if it doesn't have sufficient handbrakes. One handbrake in the head-out car from a train being operated from the middle is not going to stop that train. It will not do that. So why was he fired? It's ridiculous. This is a kangaroo court that he faced. It was a kangaroo court that he faced in that arbitration hearing. I've had conversations about his particular case with numerous TSSs, with every train operator basically that I come across in the Bravo line when I was there. You remember, Eddie? And with people on the F line, in the crew rooms, every train operator. And they say the same thing. There's nothing that Andy could have done. Absolutely nothing that he could have done.
Which is why they won't do a reenactment.
Yeah.
And if they do a reenactment, they'll find the same thing.
Yep.
The only way that train is going to stop or even begin to stop is if the person operating, when all of us operating, we know that it's communications based. When the communication fails, you stop the train. Einstein famously said that nothing happens until something moves. Andy wasn't moving a damn thing.
Right.
So, I don't want to take them any more time, but I wanted to make sure that everybody knew this from an operational standpoint,
Yeah.
and from just a purely, the physical standpoint of what he was facing. That there was absolutely nothing that he could have done at that point, and that as train operator who's been here 18 years, and it's backed up by all the train operators that are out there, you all know that there's nothing he could have done. He should not have lost his job. He should not have even been a target for discipline.
Right.
So,
Just want to say something. The new training that they're putting out is insufficient and it doesn't work. It's just a way for them to basically scapegoat the train operator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's no way possible, I'm sure, in the yard when they're doing this training that they're not cutting out the brakes the way they were. The train is not disabled the way it was when Andy was operating. They're not allowing that train to move through the yard, right? In that manner. And people, how are you going to go in a crisis situation and put in BCOs? It's still not going to stop the train. We all know that. We're told that when we're trained, that it will not stop the train. Handbrakes will not, trying to apply handbrakes to a train with no brakes that's moving, it's not going to work. So what the union has allowed the transit authority to do is basically put in a rule and a process that will not work. So even if you go and do that, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. How? Right? And the fact that the union is allowing this to happen, to be put in as a rule that it's not being challenged, right? That is a problem. This was a situation that the report clearly states the error was on the tower and not on the flagger, which was Andy. And there was nothing that they could have done to stop it because there were too many variables that weren't that failed at the same time. Being told to leave at the same time a train and passenger service was, and the fact that the communication dropped out. Right. So it was nothing that they could have done about it at all.
Yeah. The other, I'm going to get back to Andy in just a second to wrap up. But the other thing that needs to be said is that our union should be paying for Andy's legal defense.
Yes.
It is an absolute disgrace and an outrage that they have money to pay off a sexual predator who used to run this union with our dues money, but they don't have a piece of shit boss who abused his own members. But they don't have money to defend our coworker, our brother, in his time of need. That is disgraceful. And we need to stop normalizing this. It is not normal for a union to act this way. And it is not normal what the MTA is raining down upon us. This kangaroo court that Andy faces, it's been normalized at the Supreme Court. It's been normalized at every level of society that this is the new normal. You don't have any rights. We're going to do whatever we want to do. And it's a runaway train that will kill us all. It will destroy everything we've ever won in struggle. It will destroy our morale. They say why the morale sucks down here. This is why. This is why. Because there is no justice for workers. Workers have no voice. Workers have no resources put at their disposal in unions that they built with their union dues, with their blood, sweat, and tears, the generations of workers built. It has been hijacked from us and taken away from us and used against us. And that's part of the problem. And that's why people feel so, have so much despair and feel so isolated. And that's exactly how they want us to feel. Transit workers, you have an obligation, a moral obligation to never let Andy feel alone, ever, or any other one of your coworkers, not ever. So Andy, the floor is yours. I know that's a hard act to follow, but
that's all right.
Feel free to.
No, I appreciate it. I just want to give a shout out to everybody, just everybody who's been supportive, everyone who called me, who's sent me a text, anyone who sent a donation. Me and my family are forever grateful. Again, I never wanted to be in this position. I never thought I was going to be in this position, but transit put me here, and I have my back is against the wall. I have no place to go but forward. I have to fight. Again, I've never been in trouble prior to January 4th of 2024 or fast forward to April 14th, all the PDS in December of 2024. I've never been in trouble. So this is all new to me. Again, Evangeline hit the nail on the head. You know, when you're facing PDS and you're like, what's going on? And everything's happening at the same time. It's like a twister of everything just being pulled away from you. Everything you've built. I left my career of 13 years to come to transit. And you know, and all the training, all the school car, all the birthdays I missed, everything, all the events, you know, school car, you know how it is, the hours, the stress, the anxiety, and just to for you to spend your career for them trying to fire you. And it's true, because it doesn't matter how clean your sheets are, they're gonna find a way to dirty it, and they're gonna find a way to put something on you if something happens and you're in the vicinity of it. And it's terrifying. Again, if there's a precedent set that everyone's going to put a blind eye to this, oh, Andy should have did X, Y, and Z. It's fine and dandy because you're employed right now. But when you're in trouble, you keep that same energy. You got to understand something. They don't care about us. They do not. They care about themselves and making sure accountability is pushed solely on you. And that is very dangerous. We have to stop it. If we don't stop this machine, or we don't confront it, and we don't put a spotlight on what they're doing. When you have an arbitrator who's supposed to be unbiased and he's extremely biased and he's withholding evidence, and you're standing there and you're listening and you're watching this happen, you're like, oh my gosh, everything this young man said is true. Again, I am not only fighting for me, I'm fighting for you. If this, and God willing, it gets overturned, this will only help every other member going forward. That's it. We're going to have an ironclad argument. They're going to say, this is bigger than me. And I just want everyone to understand that. Please understand, I am not looking for clout. I'm not looking for attention. Again, they put me here. They terminated me. I tried to come back to work. They PDS'd me, and then they fired me for an incident that literally was done by multiple, like Evangeline said, it was multiple failures, variables. It was just a total failure across the board on the MTA. And they want to blame it on an hourly. It's something they do often. And again, I just ask that everyone just understand the situation. If you want, you can reach out to me. As I spoke to Richard and Eddie in person, I am not shy. I answer my phone. I answer my text messages. I answer my emails. Everyone who's talked to me personally know that I do not shy away from conversation. I have nothing to hide since day one and have nothing to hide 16 months later. It's the same story. I am not changing nothing. Again, I've been telling the truth since day one. I've been transparent since day one. Again, all of this situation, I never saw it coming. And again, I would not wish this on anybody. You know, waking up and saying, I can't believe this is my reality. That's what's happening. And not knowing what's going to happen next month. You know, making sure that I'm doing what it needs to get done to stay afloat, to survive, running out of resources, asking for help, because again, I never foresaw this happening. I in my mind, I did whatever they asked me to do, and I was going to come back. And like Mr. Anthony stated, I never thought they was going to put the crosshairs on me. It never crossed my mind. How could you charge me for a train, you know, crossing in front of me? That's something that's out of my control. I don't control the railroad. I just don't. And it's just out of this world. But again, I'm thankful for everyone who's been here, everyone who's listening, everyone from other unions. I'm thankful for everybody. I'm humbled, and again, I pray that this gets appealed and overturned, because we really need to take some of these wins back, and they're giving us too many L's. And we need a big win, and I hope everyone donates. I appreciate it. Again, it's going to a good cause. It's going to the fight of this, and again, it's going to help everyone going forward. It's going to be a tremendous ripple effect, and let's go, let's do it. I'm here for the fight. I'll do an interview every day if you want it. But again, I just want everyone to know that I'm here for the long game, and what they did to me is absolutely terrible. But you know what? They can do it to you too. I'm nobody special. I'm a train operator. 913096 is my pass number. I'm just like you. I'm a number, And when you get in that two Broadway, everything changes. Everything changes. It doesn't matter how good you are, no matter how much overtime you did, no matter how many trips you've done. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If they want to blame you, they're going to do it.
Yeah. And also, thank you so much, Andy, for bringing up the way in which you were treated. But just to point to the number, like they think of us as prisoners. They really do. I mean, it really is some plantation mentality down here. It really is. I mean, it's not an exaggeration at all. You know, and, you know, a lot of us have been where Andy's been PDS and all of that. They will throw you out to have your family starve. That is literally how they think. They engage in scorched earth tactics like that. And we have to change the balance of forces. And we need to call on other unions. It's not okay for any union brother or sister to face this. Why are you so silent? What's up with that? What kind of union movement is this if we don't have solidarity with each other? Also, Evangeline put in the chat to acknowledge Todd Brown and Rebecca Otero, who are also facing cases like this.
Right, they're tuned in. So
yeah.
Rebecca is Todd is currently in federal court with the MTA. Rebecca is dealing with comp claim case that she had of being injured on the job, in transit not doing right by her. So as you can see, the people who are being affected by it, may be more on here. I don't see everybody, but I saw those two chime in, and you know, everybody's down here fighting, and we don't, as much money as we paid in union dues, we're not getting the representation that we need.
Yeah. So, you know, once again, I'm going to put up on the screen the GoFundMe page. It's so important that people know that although I'm sure Andy is tremendously grateful with the response that he's received so far, it's nowhere near what we need to be able to really fund the kind of defense that he needs. And, you know, it shouldn't be the case that we should have to crowdsource this. It shouldn't be the case that we should have to count on our coworkers to step up in our time of need. That is the role of a union, and that's what they should be doing. But nonetheless, whether we're talking about in the union hall, on the job, or anywhere we go, we are the union. We are the union, and we have to step up for our brothers and sisters. And it matters how these cases are decided, because if you think about a legal case, this could cause all kinds of problems for the MTA about how they do business, about the way they suppress evidence. And it could shine the light on every other case where workers are facing exactly the same kind of kangaroo court and suppression of their rights. And it's so important that we understand that, we know what time it is. In any case, the link is in the chat, and it's also on the announcement and the live stream. So please reach out and show love to Andy, because you would want that for yourself, and because it's a matter of what kind of union do we believe in if we don't believe in that, you know.
Right.
Rich, did you want to speak before we go? Because I want to try to wrap things up soon.
Yeah, I know. I see we're getting into an hour. I guess I just want to double underline that I really appreciate Andy's story. It's not over, but it's something that should be on the mind of every transit worker in the system, and no one should ever forget it, what happened to him. And I guess if I just want to emphasize something, it's really important, and it's absolutely essential that whenever one of us gets victimized in this way, that we shouldn't be left alone at arbitration. We should be mobilized together so that we can show them that we're not alone in this whenever they do this to us. And part of the purpose of the ad hoc committee is to do that. And I think that it's important to stress too that it's important for everyone to get on board, whether they're a rep or the divisional vice chairman, the president himself. You know, if I got a call saying, hey, how could I help the ad hoc committee? You know, get on board, absolutely. But in order for Andy to win, it's going to take maximum pressure, and it's going to take maximum unity. And I think that part of the work in publicizing his case and helping fight the company to get Andy his job back will be to build that unity. And so So thanks again for the live stream. This has been extremely important.
Yeah, I mean, just so any transit worker knows, this is your space. This is your platform. Nobody's doing this for any kind of money. This is a way to, and I know Evangeline does it, and other groups do it, Progressive Action and others. We need to use our own voices, amplify our own voices, and give up our spaces to our coworkers anytime something like this happens. You should feel welcome, that you shouldn't have to chase us down to get the mic. We need to provide the mic to all of our coworkers anytime they're in need. So we'd like to thank everybody so much for joining us. And we hope to be talking to you again, Andy, anytime you want. Our door is always open. You know, any way we can help with the next steps in the case, please keep us updated, you know, about the specific needs that you have going forward. Having people show up to the court, if court support is something that is possible. I don't know if it is or not, but whatever those next steps are, please keep us updated on that. And transit workers, please pay attention. We have to learn what time it is, and we have to learn how dangerous the times we're living in are. And that power concedes nothing without a demand. It never has and never will. And that we have to make our demands heard. And part of making our demands heard is when we are attacked, we fight back and we organize a collective struggle. And that increases the morale to win many more victories. So we look forward to being in the trenches with all of you about the contract struggle and all the struggles to come to change this, so this can never happen again to any worker, not just in our union, but in any union. Thank you so much, everybody, for your time. I know we'll try to keep it to an hour or so, because we know everybody's got a busy weekend and everybody's got things to do. But we'll talk to you all real soon. Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night, John. The fight continues.
Solidarity. An injury to one is an injury to all. Okay. Thank you.
That's right.